Welcome to the Fit Media Network, the channel dedicated to healthy living and fitness. We speak with coaches, doctors, athletes, and more about their routines to help you feel, look, and perform at your best. Hey everybody, this is Mike. Wanted to introduce you to a friend of mine, someone that I work with pretty closely. His name is Jeff Bovarnick. I also wanted to talk with you a little bit about the changes to the channel. If you notice, the logo's changed and the name of the channel has changed as well. Previously, we were known as the Riders Rep channel, and we had been focusing on cycling and the cycling community. And we've recently changed the name of the channel to the Fit Media Network. We're going to be focusing on all things fitness, all things health and lifestyle. So we're making a big change, and I hope you come along with us. Please feel free to share this and introduce this to your friends, anybody else who may be interested in a healthy lifestyle, and just some tips and ideas on doing that. So moving forward, today I'm going to be interviewing a friend of mine, Jeff Bovarnick. Jeff Bovarnick is an attorney. He's also an athlete. He lives a very healthy lifestyle. He's also a diabetic. And one of the things that I'd like to do on this episode is talk with Jeff about his diabetes, his treatment, what he does to improve the quality of his lifestyle. I also want to talk a little bit about a charity bike ride that Jeff and I are putting together for the end of March called Pedal for People. And we're going to talk about that as well. I really appreciate you guys following along and can't wait to talk with you a little bit more. So let me welcome Jeff to the show.
Thank you. Nice
Good
to be
see
here.
you again, Jeff. So I met Jeff probably, 2 months ago or so?
2 to 3 months ago.
2 to 3 months. It wasn't very long. And we met at a get-together for a group that Jeff and I are both a part of called the Landmark Forum. Not sure if you're familiar with the Landmark Forum, but it was a great thing in my life. It really changed the way I look at a lot of things. You know, we talk a lot about physical fitness, but mental fitness is huge if you want to be successful and happy in your life. And I really feel that the things that I got out of the Landmark Forum really helped me to gain some happiness, some clarity, and a lot of focus on what I wanted to accomplish and figuring out how to get that. What about you?
I agree. It is a self-discovery process. It allows you to look at life and think about life and deal with life differently and from a different lens, in a different format. And instead of reacting, you may respond and process, or actually hear, not react, think, process, and then respond. And it provides us with tools to deal with difficult situations.
Absolutely. And for any of you Landmark graduates out there, you'll understand. And if you're not a Landmark graduate, I would definitely suggest taking a look at it. Most simply, it teaches you how to choose vanilla. And we all have vanilla in our lives. So anyway, that's... I was approached by Jeff at one of the meetings, and Jeff told me about a charity bike ride he was doing. He is working on it for a project and got me involved in this program. And as we started talking about the charity bike ride, we became friends. And I learned a lot about Jeff. I think Jeff would be a great person to talk with for the show. The charity ride that we're doing is called Pedal for People. You'll hear us talk about it a couple times during the show. It's going to be March 31st this year.
In West Boca.
In West Boca at South County Park.
At the Sunset Pavilion in South County Park.
So we want to invite everybody to come out to the event. Take a look at the Facebook page for Pedal for People or the website. They'll all be up and running very soon.
Pedalforpeople.org. Pedalforpeople.org.
Simple.
Easy.
So Jeff, the big reason for this charity event is to benefit cancer and diabetes research. And I wanted to talk with you a little bit about the charities that you chose and about how they these causes personally have affected you.
Sure. 7 or 8 years ago, I went for a routine medical checkup, and my doctor called me to come back to his office, and I had not been called back to a principal's office, let alone a doctor's office. I went, uh-oh. And when I was with the doctor, he said, what are you doing differently this year than last year? Because my blood sugar was elevated. And I had actually given up drinking coffee for vitamin water. And he told me vitamin water is filled with sugar, stop drinking it. I drove to a convenience store, I looked at a label for the vitamin water, I compared it to a label on Coke, and I went, he's right. And I stopped drinking it cold turkey.
How much, is there more than Coke?
Almost the same amount of sugar in vitamin water as there is in Coke. And what the marketing people at vitamin water and other products do is they sell you that it's healthy, when if you're going in blindly and not thinking, you think you're doing something healthy, but in fact you're doing the opposite.
So, by the way, I want to interrupt you real quick. You know, one of the really important things that we're trying to do with this channel is educate people on what's real, what's marketing, what really is healthy, and what might not be. So, take a look at your labels. Just because something says vitamin in the brand doesn't necessarily mean it's healthy. Just because something is advertised as healthy doesn't necessarily mean it is. So that's a really, really good point. Anyway, I just wanted to call attention to that.
That's fine. And I am the guy that you see in the supermarket reading the labels on the back of the package because I want to know what I'm putting into my body. And since that time, I have changed my eating habits, first slightly, then significantly, including becoming vegetarian for a year. Now I am pescatarian. And I'm choosing to eat healthy in order to avoid taking medication to fight the blood sugar issues. And I'm seeing results. And I am weak sometimes, I admit. I will eat chocolate when I shouldn't. I'll eat potato chips when I shouldn't. And it's few and far between, but I catch myself, and I know I don't feel it internally. I see it when I take my blood sugar levels. The purpose of what I'm saying is to think about what you're eating, plan better, and it may be a little bit more expensive, but you only have one body, you only have one life, you might as well do it right and not feel sorry later when you could have taken action today.
You know, it's really funny. I listened to a guy, he was a punk rock musician for a long time. Now he's a speaker. His name is Henry Rollins. I don't know if you've ever heard of Henry Rollins. A really bright guy. He's got a lot to say, and he uses an analogy. And he says, you know, when you're a teenager and you have your first car, and it's a piece of crap car, right? We don't put sugar in the gas tank. We put the best gas we can afford. We try to take care of it and make our car run. And when we're born with a Lamborghini, right? Our body is as perfect as it's going to get, pretty much, when you're born. And while we wouldn't do it to our cars, we do it to our bodies, which we can't ever replace. So it's kind of interesting. Look, I'm just as guilty as everybody else about eating junk food from time to time or skipping my exercise routine. But if you compare yourself to some of the things that you own and you say, why would I treat an inanimate object one way and treat my body so much poorly? It is kind of idealistic, but at the same time, it's an interesting way to look at things.
Right. And I admit I am a recovering chocoholic. I'm a carboholic. I used to be a carboholic and love everything sweet. I am the opposite today. I eat more salads than I ever ate, more vegetables than I ever ate, fruits, nuts, seeds. And I try to stay away from processed foods, try to stay away from carbohydrates. That includes no breads, no wheat, no pasta, no rice. And if I do eat rice, it's very infrequent, maybe when I'm eating sushi. And even when I go for sushi, I order sushi where rice is not included. I can go to a place and they can wrap it in avocado. Mm-hmm. Or I can get cucumber. Or there are other things that we can use if we think and plan that are better for us.
Yeah, it's interesting. You know, a lot of us fly by the seat of our pants. Myself, that's definitely how I do it. You know, I'll leave the house without something to eat or without a snack, and then next thing you know, a couple hours later, I'm hungry. My wife doesn't like to let me leave the house without a sandwich. Always have a sandwich in the car or something. She makes sure that I have something because it's so important. And a lot of my healthy eating really comes from her and the things that I've learned from her. And it's really cool to have somebody in your life that guides you or helps you or you can really bounce ideas off of.
Sure.
Because it keeps you from kind of going off the Richter scale, eating, drinking, whatever you want, and it's just good to have a partner like that.
Sure. And if I drink alcohol, I will drink tequila because it's the most natural of all alcohols, and it doesn't create a sugar event like other alcohols do. Absolutely no wine, nothing sweet in a drink. I used to drink more scotch and vodka, and those don't have sugars either. However, they're stored in your liver. What I'm told, they're stored in your liver as sugar, which is then converted into something bad for me. That's my lay opinion and my understanding.
If anybody has any opinions on that or feedback or medical knowledge or anything like that, we're always interested in more feedback. And
Sure. I'm an attorney, not a doctor. I played doctor on TV. That's about it.
So you went to the doctor. They were talking about your blood sugar. Rather than taking any kind of medication where you're dealing with side effects and you're dealing with things that might not necessarily belong in your body, you decided to take the situation in your own hands.
Yes. And I have seen over especially the last 2 years, when I drastically changed and became a vegetarian, I saw significant improvements, and then I saw my body reverse a little and made some more changes, and you have to keep tweaking until you find what works for you, what is valuable, and what is sustainable.
Sure, and it's not always easy or going to happen the first time. I got to say, I'm going to be putting you on the spot, but how old are you?
56.
So Jeff is 56 years old. If you could see, he's quite a specimen. I mean, it really physically, you could tell that you take care of yourself. And when you do that, obviously you've got a much better chance of living a long time. Obviously we can all get hit by a truck walking out our front door, but you're doing everything you can to increase your chances of being fit.
I went to an endocrinologist here in Florida 4 or 5 years ago, and he misdiagnosed me.
Really?
He, within 30 seconds after taking my blood sugar, pricked my finger, took my blood sugar, and said, in 2 years, I will need insulin, and we got to get you on medication. And I went back the next day, and I stood in the hallway and waited for him to come out of one of his rooms, examining rooms, and I said, how can you diagnose me without taking blood? And he went, oh, you're right, let's take some blood. And then I asked about an A1C. I had to go back to get an A1C test because he did. Bottom line is I never went back.
This is another thing, and this is one of the things I really love about doing this show. Because I hear things when people talk, and we don't necessarily notice it as we're saying it, but one of the things that I've mentioned clearly on some of my other episodes, when I spoke with Dr. Eli Friedman, for example, doctors aren't perfect. Nobody's perfect, and there's a very good chance that when you go to a doctor for something that they could potentially misdiagnose you. So really, you want to be your own advocate. You want to make sure that you learn everything you can about what your symptoms are, what's going on. There may be ways to treat things that the doctors might not be aware of, they may not know. When I worked with Dr. Friedman for my heart, he had mentioned one supplement that would work to help increase my blood flow with my heart. And I was able to do some research and find something that may have been a little bit better. Mm-hmm. And what was really good about that, and what's really good about finding a doctor that's willing to listen to you, is if they understand that they may not be right all the time, even though they have a lot of experience, and they're willing to listen to you as a patient, you really build a good symbiotic relationship with your doctors, and that's going to be your best chance of having a healthy outcome.
Right. Today, and over the last few years, I choose to go to practitioners that have a holistic approach and are more Eastern medicine thinking rather than Western medicine thinking, because as far as I am concerned, and this is a personal opinion and not putting it on you.
This sounds like a
else,
legal disclaimer.
Doctors that are trained in Western medicine, including those in the United States, are just driven by what they're taught. It's almost as if they have blinders on and they do not want to look outside the four corners of that book, and they prescribe what they know instead of thinking, how is that medication going to affect this client, this patient? Is there something else out there that may be better, less harmful to the body, better for the treating of what we're trying to treat? And it's because they're so busy, and I'm not blaming them, they're so busy and they're trained a certain way, that's how they proceed.
Well, they're unfortunately, and again, this is a soapbox of mine, and it's interesting. First episode of the new way of doing this. People are trained to treat symptoms. From my experience, a lot of the medical practitioners that I've worked with have been trained to treat symptoms, which is essentially like turning off the check engine light in your car without figuring out what's going on.
Why did the engine light turn on?
Yes.
Yes.
In fact, I even had surgery on my heart before I met Dr. Friedman. I had surgery on my heart to turn off the check engine light rather than figuring out what the problem was, which is what he did. And I think people are becoming way more aware of that kind of stuff, and holistic medicine and Eastern medicine and acupuncture and chiropractic, and people are not wanting to take the prescription drugs anymore with the side effects and everything along with it.
Right. It is almost insane when I hear that somebody is taking blood sugar medication, or they're even on insulin, and then they're eating sugars, cake, cookies, wherever the sugar may be. It's ridiculous. You're treating your body with medicine and then eating something you shouldn't eat. When you're doing it because you feel you can, because the medication will support the body.
Yeah. An interesting story about a more holistic kind of medicine is I had my spine fused middle of last year in May. Wow. C5 and C6 had a vertebrae removed, or the disc removed, and the vertebrae fused together. And I was on pain medicine, I was on anti-nausea, and I was on all kinds of pills in order to be able to take the pain medicine, which made me feel weird and looped out and uncomfortable and everything else. And somebody introduced me to the ReSTOR Labs CBD cream. And I really wasn't familiar with CBD at the time. It's kind of funny because ReSTOR Labs is one of the sponsors of the show. And I'm involved with the company.
The charity event.
Sponsor the charity event too. And it's interesting because what happened was I was able to go from taking pain medicine and several other medications in order to be able to take the pain medicine to a CBD infused lotion that I was able to rub on the back of my neck, on the muscles in the back of my neck, and it removed the soreness. And I was able to go from all of this to a lotion that I rubbed on my neck. So there are so many things out there that we don't even know about. We're going to be having a lot of different people on the show, from physical therapists to chiropractors to people who are specialists in CBD, people who are specialists in other kinds of Eastern medicine, and we want to introduce all that stuff to you, and hopefully you can benefit from it as well. But I had a great experience using CBD, especially in a topical lotion. You could put it on and right away you get a relief, where you deal with some sort of a tincture or drops or anything like that, and it takes days, sometimes 2 days, 3 days for it to affect your body. Where the topical stuff was really great. So that was my experience from when I tried the CBD products from ReSTOR. we had talked about it a couple of times off camera. I was just curious. You had mentioned you've tried it as well. Can you tell me about what you experienced?
Yes, I was riding, and I fell off my bike. It was just my stupidity, and I scraped up my knee really badly. It was bleeding and deep. I had another scar on my thigh, and I rubbed the CBD cream on my knee and on my thigh. It has taken away the scarring that I had on my thigh, and because the scarring on my knee was deeper, it's fading and it's almost gone. And I'm really impressed with how this CBD cream works. So impressed that I bought bottles for my 2 children, my law partner, and other people I know, and I'm giving it out as gifts because I want people to try it. I just gave it out to an old friend of mine that had neck surgery, and I asked him to rub it on the scarring around his neck from the surgery, and he's going to try it. And I'm excited for him because the scarring should dissipate,
Absolutely.
if not disappear.
It also helped your law partner with his psoriasis.
Sure, it helped 2 people with their psoriasis, and they are proponents of the product. They use it daily. My law partner's wife likes it. I use it. Not only do I use it on the places where I know I need it, but I started using it on my face, and I think I look about 20 years younger.
Look at this face. All right, cool. Thank you.
Hemp and cannabis, which is very unscientific about it. You have 2 separate plants, strains. Both plants, medically speaking, and hemp more so, we will consider in the next 5, 10, 20 years, you pick a time frame, we will consider hemp, that plant, to be the most important plant on the earth.
It's picking up a lot of momentum, again, having to do with people not wanting to take all of the prescription medications and dealing with side effects, things like that. I could go into a whole rabbit hole on holistic medicine and everything else too.
Sure.
There really is so many options out there that have been around for thousands of years, and we've just been a little bit more closed off to it. And I think people are really becoming more open. I guess we can go on down that rabbit hole for quite some time. I want to talk with you a little bit more about your ride and your diabetes. This charity ride is going to be one to benefit diabetes research. What's the charity that this is going to be through?
I was through a friend of mine who was raising money for a well-known, very large national diabetes organization. Fell out of favor through looking inside and didn't like what he saw. And he has a bike event every summer in New York. And he introduced me to the Diabetes Research Institute here in Miami. And I went and toured the facility, and I really liked what I saw. I spoke with a couple of researchers, and they focus on type 1 diabetes. Even though I don't have type 1 diabetes, although I'm not the prototypical type 2 diabetic.
Can you tell us what the difference is? I know a lot of people do know, a lot of people don't know the differences between type 1 and type 2.
Oh, really?
Just the basic differences?
It's the way the body, I think type 2, and somebody correct me, I'm not a doctor, but if type 2 doesn't process the sugars correctly, and type 1 isn't producing insulin.
Okay.
That's my lay opinion about the differences. And type 1 was, early on, people called it juvenile diabetes, and now they just call it type 1. That's my understanding. And the Diabetes Research Institute in Miami just deals with type 1 diabetes. And I'm happy if that type 1 diabetes affects children. If we can get children off of insulin through research at this institute, why not? Because imagine having to inject yourself 2 to 3 or more times a day, putting insulin in your body, which then enables you to eat. It's insane. But I don't know if it's an autoimmune issue. I don't know what causes it, but researching is finding out. and I want to be able to help the cause. And why I picked the Diabetes Research Institute in Miami is because I think they're on cutting edge, top-notch research that will get answers. And I know the money is going, 100% of the money we raise is going to go, half the money is going there and half of the money is going to another institution, a foundation, which we will discuss, about cancer. And I am in favor of the Diabetes Research Institute in Miami because I think they do they do great work, and my friend has vouched for them, and I toured the facility and was very impressed with what I saw.
Okay, great. Now so they're researching basically the ability for alternatives to children using insulin, needing to
figure out why the origin, what is causing, and then if you figure out what's causing, then you can rectify.
Okay. And now the other charity for the event is...
The other charity for the event is going to be it's called the Florida Impact Foundation. They're here in Boca Raton, run by a guy named Michael Miller, who is an amazing individual. And through Michael's personal issues, personal issues, he discovered this product out of Australia and China that has helped cure somebody he knows, or helping to cure somebody he knows. And half the money, or a portion of the money we raise, is going to go to his foundation, which will conduct independent, unbiased scientific research into something called TBL12. And it may
TBL12?
TBL12.
We're going to put some information in the show notes, maybe even a link to some information on TBL12. We've spoken about that before a few times, and some of the feedback people are seeing from that. So that's a really cool cause too.
And based upon the feedback, if we can put money into researching it and prove its efficacy, and then put it out in the marketplace to see who wants to buy it and bring it to market, it'll be a win-win-win for the American public, for worldwide, and for one of the pharmaceutical companies that decides to jump on. That's through Sound Health and the Florida Impact Foundation. And I named the nonprofit corporation KESS, Creates Inc. KESS, Creates Inc. And part of creating possibilities is something that we learned in Landmark. And a childhood friend, Andrew Kessler, died my age 3 months ago, or 3.5 months ago, from throat cancer, cancer of the larynx. Never smoked a day in his life. And he was riding in Massachusetts in an event, a yearly event, for at least 12 years, even after he got cancer, and even after he had his laryngectomy, and was sending the money to a really well-known cancer institution in Massachusetts for research. And the place where he was riding and raising money couldn't save him. It was really ironic. And as a result, I wanted to do something to honor his name and what he was doing, and that's why I said to you I wanted to have two charities, or two opportunities that we could create. One is researching in the diabetes world, and the other is researching in the cancer world. As I was preparing documents to bring to sponsors to create sponsorship opportunities, I wanted to provide some research about cancer and diabetes. I asked my daughter, who is a senior at University of Miami, and she has aspirations for going to medical school or dental school, and some of the research she found was, and very interesting, somewhere between 8 and 18% of people with cancer have diabetes. That's a pretty large percentage.
Do you think that's because of the sugar?
Well, it's because of either you had diabetes before you were diagnosed with cancer and didn't know it, and as you were going through the cancer treatment process or the medical process, they did blood tests and they found that you had diabetes. It could be that you have diabetes and then develop cancer. I don't know how they make up the statistic, and I don't know which comes first, the cancer or the diabetes, but a segment of society, somewhere between 8 and 18%, have both. And if we can affect 8 to 18% of society, which is roughly in this country 30 million people. If we have 300 million people and it at 10% is 30 million, that's a significant number of people that have both diseases. And there are tens of millions of people with diabetes and with cancer, and the numbers are getting worse because we as a people, we as a population, are eating so poorly, and what they're feeding to the animals that you're eating, and what they're feeding to the chickens, and what they're feeding to GMOs to plants and vegetables, it's killing the American public. And look again, what we talked about towards the beginning. If you look at labels on food and you see sugars and high fructose corn syrup and artificial crap that manufacturers are putting into food to make it taste good, what it's really doing is killing the American public. The average dress size for women in this country, based on research I did a few years ago, is a size 12. That means half the women in the country are above a size 12 and half are below. That's significant because a significant number of people are obese in this country because of how they eat and what they eat. I'll get off the soapbox. As a result of learning more about diabetes and cancer through my daughter's research, I am now more convinced that it makes sense to have a 2-for-1 in an event where we raise money for 2 separate charities and we try to help people. This is Pedal for People. This is people helping people. We're raising money and hope to help find cures for these 2 diseases that are killing people and really affecting society.
Yeah, it's an epidemic.
I'd say so.
And it's really good to see somebody going out there on their own saying, hey, I want to make a difference, and researching specific charities that benefit. 100% of the proceeds from your event are going to these charities as well. So,
correct.
Some people will create a charity ride and give away a small portion. It's kind of a fun thing to do, and maybe it's a little bit off color, but every time when somebody asks you to donate to a charity, you may want to ask them how much is actually going to the charity. How much money does the CEO of that charity make? And how much is it really going there? It's really shocking how many charities are set up as charities and really don't support as much as they can. So Jeff has created the Pedal for People to make your own impact in the community, and this is going to be a bike ride in Boca Raton. It's going to be police escorted, so it will be safe. They are doing a 30-mile and a 50-mile route. There's going to be food, entertainment,
yes.
Providing T-shirts as well for the event.
Anything
else?
Everybody who registers will get a T-shirt, a Pedal for People T-shirt. We are creating a bike jersey, and if somebody donates $75 or more, they will get a jersey that will be a commemorative jersey of the first annual Pedal for People. And this is going to be, we are creating this and setting this up where this will be a perpetual annual event.
One thing that's really cool about this event too is this is not a race. This is something where anybody can do. If you can go out there and you can ride your bike for 25 miles, maybe 2 hours, 3 hours, something like that, it's not a huge feat. There's going to be food along the way and nutrition along the way, but it's a great way for somebody who may be intimidated by the racing culture or the racing in a lot of the charity rides. This is a really good event for you to get your feet wet. If you feel that maybe 25 miles or 50 miles is too much for you, 30 miles or 50 miles is too much for you, we would love to have you volunteer and show up, work on the course, work in registration, help with the cause. Some people may not feel that their fitness is up to that and would just like to donate to the cause, and we'll be happy to have your donations as well.
Sure.
What's the best way for somebody to get in touch with you to either talk about sponsorship or donating to the charities?
Great. Info at pedalforpeople.org. Info at pedalforpeople.org. And you can call me 561-465-9969. 561-465-9969. I prefer emails at info@pedalforpeople.org, but I'm happy to take a call if you want to speak.
There's also a Facebook page.
We are creating
Pedal
a Facebook
for People.
page.
That's on the Facebook. There will be a lot of interaction and ways to get in touch with people. There's going to be flyers and brochures. If you want to get involved, there's tons of ways to do it. You can reach me, Mike Ryder Rep at gmail.com. And so there's a lot of ways that you can get involved, even if you feel that the actual riding is not for you.
Sure. And with respect to riders, we have groups of elite riders that will test their limits and push themselves and want to race amongst themselves, and that's fine. That's great. And then we have weekend riders and weekend warriors that will go out and challenge themselves, and some that will just enjoy being out for a nice escorted bike ride.
Yep.
And the overall goal is to help others, to create an opportunity where we are receiving donations through the registration, through voluntary donations, sponsorships, and creating a pile of money that we will then disperse to two entities, as I said, the Diabetes Research Institute in Miami and the Florida Impact Foundation, Inc. here in Boca Raton.
Great. So, anyway, I guess we've talked a bit about the charities and about the event. About you as a person.
Mm-hmm.
So Jeff is an attorney here in Boca Raton.
Yes.
He has his own law firm. What's the name of your?
The law firm, my partner is Michael Liss, and actually Michael came up with the genius idea. We call it Integrity Counsel PA. Integrity, which is, excuse me, it's a distinction and common term that we use at Landmark, something that I have come to really understand and appreciate. And prior to doing Landmark in April of 18, for 29 years of the time, I was a lawyer. And for 29 years, I have read, written, spoken, and heard words day in and day out. Whether I'm reading a 50-page contract, negotiating, communicating, however it may have been. And words mean something. The word integrity is powerful. And I embraced Michael's thought. He's a Landmark graduate as well. And as a result, we created Integrity Counsel PA on January 1st of this year. And we are moving forward and building a business where Michael is handling the litigation, real estate and business and other litigation, and I am handling transactional work relating to real estate and business, whether you're buying or selling in real estate leasing, contract negotiations and workouts, whatever people need, businesses need, individuals need, we're here to help. If you feel free to call me on my cell phone, 561-465-9969, or email me at JB, J like Jeffrey, B like Bovarnick, JB at integritycounselpa.com. JB at integritycounselpa.com. I like to repeat things twice when you're giving information, because oftentimes when I hear voicemails, somebody's rushing through giving you their number and you have to call back and hear it again because they went too fast.
It's funny. I like to repeat things twice as well. Sometimes I really like to repeat things twice as well. And I know that was really bad. That was terrible. Sorry, Lucas. If you do need to get in touch with Jeff, you've got his information. It'll also be in the show notes. You can reach me if you've got any suggestions on the show or anything you'd like to add or see, or any comments that you want to make. Maybe we said something wrong or something that you want to add to. If you want to...
Or maybe we said something they really like and they want to add to it.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Please share these videos invite your friends to like and subscribe to our social media. We intend to bring some new things to your world that will add value and hopefully create a happier, healthier life to you. Thanks again to our sponsors, Olympus Speedworks. Olympus does a high-end line of carbon fiber bicycles and bicycle wheels, as well as custom clothing. ReSTOR Labs CBD. They offer a really nice line of lotions as well as recovery bath products. If you would like to contact me, Mike Ryder Rep at gmail.com. I can make arrangements for you to get free samples to try. Take a look at the Facebook page, ReSTOR, ReSTOR Labs, Labs, on Facebook, and take a look at what people are saying about them. They're really making a big impact out there and the quality of people's lives.
And finally, from me, please register for Pedal for People at pedalforpeople.org and come out and ride with us on March 31st. We have pedals up at 7:30.
Sounds great. Thanks so much, guys.
a.m.
7:30 a.m. Yes. Thank you so much and have a great day.
Thank you.